Let's get going. So great to have everybody here. Saturday, June the 24th. Um, so as we are all coming in, Tracy and I were just talking about this course that we're taking, and it's interesting. It's a bit of a stretch. I won't speak for Tracy, but I'll say a bit of a stretch for both of us for different reasons. And one of the tools that they gave us was when we come from I'll use the words that we've been using. When we come from a place of ego, right, where we're in judgment of ourselves or others, or we're in a lower density energy of fear, anger, frustration, I've always said, when I catch it, I'll go, saying something that I don't want to create. I go, oh, delete, delete, delete. And but they had recommended that even when you're experiencing an emotion that's of a lower density energy, you can say clear, cancel, delete. And then I've heard it said a couple of different times, but I really liked that because, as energetic beings, not only do we receive energy from others, we also will send out energy for others. And I know that I'm a very powerful being. My energy, my aura is strong. So if I'm, not happy, I know that I affect other people. And often in my past, when I've done that, when I've been unhappy or stressed or, whatever, so I'll just like a lower density energy, I will leave my house, go for a walk, go in the hot tub, but certainly ensure that I'm as far away as possible in that moment of time from the people that I love, because my energy is so strong. So this was just a really cool tool when I have that strength of energy and it's not a positive energy. I can clear, cancel, delete the energy of what I'm feeling, which to me was awesome, because then I know for myself as well that I'll be easier for me to move into awareness and response versus reaction, because I'm having a negative energetic experience because I'm reacting, right? Because my ego is at play versus being connected to divine source energy. And which kind of leads into the further discussion about the duality of who we are, the duality of we are of a divine nature, and we are also of a human being, like the egoic part of ourselves, right? Like we're mind, body, and spirit, so that we're a triune being. Part of being a triune being is having this ego and this connection to spirit. And so there's many names for it. So I use the word that resonates the most with you. What I'm finding, though, is that when I can recognize that I'm in a situation where my ego is at play, for me it's really clear. I react when I'm offended, right? Like that was offensive, or my feelings are hurt, or something along that line. So mine personally would be, well, probably fear, which I've worked mostly through. And I don't think we'll ever always work through all of it, like because ego is part of who we are. But mine shows up in anger, and frustration. So I know when I'm from that place, I'm not in a space. And I observed myself yesterday after the class, how desperate, I'm going to use that word, how desperate my ego wanted me to be angry with someone. Like, and it was this duality of going back and forth. So my, divine self, my awareness that I was being pulled in a direction that I didn't want to be, and the indignation that I was feeling. I was like, this is just so cool, because I was literally experiencing the duality of who I am, moving from what I sometimes refer to as divine consciousness or Christ consciousness into this indignation, this egoic part of me surfacing, right? The abandoned, rejected 6-year-old child showing up, wanting and demanding attention and the divine self, for me, it was this having a conversation. So the divine part of me having a conversation with a childlike part of me who's offended and angry and just wants her way. And I know that I would have before judged myself for feeling angry, pissed off, the role of the child coming through. And I think part of the opportunity that we have in our journey is grace and forgiveness of ourselves for being in that space. Well, let's take that one step further. Can we offer that grace to others? Can we offer the same grace and forgiveness to another human being who we feel may have hurt our feelings or slighted us or said something that we may even feel like on purpose to us? And even if they did do it on purpose, how do we really know? That would be our interpretation, right? We really don't know. We can make assessments, we can make judgments, we can tap it intuitively. We can know that we know, like that's what happens with me and my intuition. I know that I know, but I can't tell you how I know. So I will often say, well, do you really know? And it's not questioning my intuition, but rather placing me in a space where it's more easily for me to forgive others for an action that I feel that maybe is not justified, or I'm hurt, my feelings are hurt because blah, blah, blah. So regardless, if we look at it with the tool of I'm coming from a space of my ego and I'm not in the space of Christ consciousness, or we look at it through the unconscious and conscious mind, right? Which is that we have conscious thoughts, our unconscious belief patterns are coming up, whether they're a limiting belief or an empowering belief. Or we look at it through the problem is never the problem. The problem is that we gave meaning to the problem. Those are three different ways to look at a situation with the outcome being the same. And the outcome being the same is if I allow an outside force, an outside resource, an outside entity, human being to affect my peace and serenity, whose responsibility is my peace and serenity? Mine. Whose responsibility is it for you to feel loved, self-confident? Yours. Whose responsibility is it to take action, to take inspired action, or to take action through fear? We will take, when our ego's at play, we will take action based in fear. And that's not wrong or bad. It's the isness of the situation. It's what makes us a human being. And so rather than trying to not be a human being, it can accept ourselves with all of our wounds and scars, all of the ugly parts, all of the beautiful parts, and move into this place of acceptance and act as if, meaning we act as if we are abundant. We act as if we are prosperous. We act as if. And the more that we try to avoid anger, avoid fear, avoid frustration, avoid poverty, avoid lack of anything, the more we will create the appearance of that because we're trying to avoid it, right? We're not meant to avoid anything. And the more that we do that, it's like what we resist persists. So it's really about, what do I want? Like, what do you want? Right? What do you want? And then asking for the guidance on what you want. I was listening to a podcast or a recording from a mentor of mine on my drive home from the mountains. And he was talking about goal setting, and I had forgotten this. And he said, when we're goal setting, we're actually programmed to goal set what we think we can achieve. We're conditioned to set a goal on what we've done in the past. we're conditioned to not expand our consciousness, like not expand our imagination, right? And so, there's that fine line, and we've talked about, if you've been in my circle for a while, I talk about when you're setting a goal, do a stretch goal and just be aware of how many yeah buts you have, and work on the yeah buts. But the truth with a capital T is, if you desired to create millions of dollars a day, a month, right? If that was a true desire, like a heart desire, not a, I don't have millions of dollars a day, so therefore I want $1 million a day, but a true, like, I know that I meant to create this. We are meant to then create that. But it's, in this case, we'll go back to the words that I'm using right now. It's the ego that tells you that you can't. It's the ego that says that you don't know how to, right? It's the ego that well, the way to do that then is I have to go to Facebook and be in awareness of the words. I have to go on Facebook. I have to make an offer. I have to, like, that is just another shitting on yourself, right? I should. You don't have to. You don't have to do anything. Like, that's the coolest thing about being a human being. We have choice, right? You can choose to, create relationship on Facebook, or on LinkedIn or Twitter, or wherever you choose to create a relationship. That is the piece of business that most people resist, and is putting themselves out there to create awareness that there is a product or service available. And I know I've shared this with this group specifically, but it's that reminder. I'm reminded often that of the woman who, opened up a balloon store, a balloon animal store in Camrose, which is not very big. I think there's like 25,000 people there, maybe. Really, really active downtown, right? Like, it's a beautiful downtown, active. There's three streets, like three roads, 3 streets of downtown, the main one being the most active. Like, it's not a very big city. And this lovely woman opening up a balloon store downtown Camrose, not even, and she was in the main corridor, but she wasn't in, like, there was like one street that was really, really busy, and then 2 outlying streets. But thought that because she had opened her doors on Main Street, Camrose, that she wouldn't have to do anything else but open up her doors. So that's kind of like us putting a website up and going, there we go, I have a business. Yes, you have a website. How are you going to get traffic? Not get, but drive. So I'm in marketing world here. Drive traffic. How will you create enough interest, right? How will you invite people to your website? That's better language for what we talk about, right? How will you invite people to check you out? The difference between storefront and website. A storefront, there's not really a lot of window shopping, right? People don't window shop anymore. It's not like, let's go downtown and hang out. Like, and that used to be like in the 70s and 80s, 100%. That's what people would do. They would go shopping. Like, they would, drive downtown, meander, right? Look at all the things. And at that time, there wasn't even a lot of malls. Like, it was like, storefront to storefront. It was a community. It was like an event. And then that switched as the malls start to get built bigger, and the shop indoors. I don't know if any of you remember that in the 80s. It was like shop indoors. Like, it was like the biggest thing ever, that you didn't have to be outside to shop. That might have been like late 70s, right? So as the experience started to change, right? So there's the the experience changed where people didn't window shop. Online, people window shop. They don't just go and walk into your proverbial store and put something in the cart and then pay for it. Like, even think about how you shop online. You've made a decision, you want something, and you'll go and buy it. But what brought you to the decision of what you wanted to buy? You realized you had a need, you had a problem, therefore you had a need, and then you found the place to go to buy the thing, right? To buy the thing. But there was a whole other, and I'm getting this. Don't kid yourself. That's what I keep on hearing. So I don't know if that's me or the guides, truthfully. So I'm just going to be clear. It's like, don't kid yourself. There is a process that goes in your brains for you before you purchase something, right? I don't know about all of you, but I have been known to be someone who's, I can't even think of the word right now, just like on a whim buy something. And so when I was facing bankruptcy, I had to change my pattern of behavior of shopping. So even now I notice that I put up like things. So I like at Amazon, I'll put something in Amazon, or even on a Staples cart, or like a grocery cart, or some sort of cart, and it sits there. I don't buy anything on a whim. And so it sits there for a while for it to percolate, for me to process. I know that I want it. So I still have that. I know that I want it. Do I need it? I know that I want it. Do I need it? I still have that verbiage of my family in there. Right. And so it's like, I want it, but when will I use it? Like, so I have this process that my brain, my both ego, I'll still use my ego, goes through. Everyone has their process. And I'm sharing this with you because, there's this illusion. There is an illusion that we're just going to have to say something online and people are going to flock to our like website, or are going to flock to our LinkedIn page, are going to flock to, and the shopping, the buying experience up until now, and anything is possible, but up until now we haven't had that. So what are you doing in your business to create awareness, to create curiosity, to let people know that you have a solution to their problem? Are you clear on their problem? Are you clear about what they want? And it's okay if you're not, because that's what marketing is about. Marketing is about experimentation. I think the problem is this, but I don't really know if it's this. And so we can utilize our social media to find out if this is it, if this is it. And the challenge in online is that you'll put a post up on whatever, Facebook or Instagram, and the algorithm suggests that only, like, it depends if it's a business or it's your personal page, right? Less than 1% on a business page, and less than 1%, way less, like 0.0001% on your personal page. Well, people will see your post. Do you notice how if you post something about your dog or your cat, or like butterflies or nature, or anything you post like that more people like it? It's not because you suck and people don't want to hear about your business. It's because Facebook shows your personal posts more. They show your personal posts more. right? And so especially when business owners start to use in their personal Facebook page to talk about business, Facebook is like, well, we'll take care of that. We're just going to show your posts to less people. And so part of the strategy behind Facebook can be to post more than once a day. Yeah, I can all feel your resistance to that. But that's part of it. So it's about being in awareness. What and I'll tie this into ego and divine. It's about being in awareness of what tools are you going to use to promote your passion, your purpose, your mission, right? What if you approached Facebook completely different? I've been thinking about this lately. A lot of us in human design, we're actually meant to not initiate, but we're meant to respond. We're not meant to initiate the conversation. We're meant to respond in a conversation. And so it can be frustrating because you have something you want to share. So you share something about business on your page, and then no one comments on it. And so we can do both. Is the algorithm or is it human design at play? I don't know. And it doesn't really matter in the sense of like, is it the chicken or the egg? What's important though is when you're thinking about this strategy that to use in order to share your passion, your purpose, your mission, it's about understanding how the algorithms work. So what if you posted and things that were going on in your life? What if you start to share your life experiences with people? And as people started to engage, you started to have virtual coffees. You start to virtually network with people, and you built relationship with people, right? I did this last week. Someone commented on my post, and I private messaged her and said, I'd love to have a virtual coffee with you and get to know you better. And her response was, why? Like, she was immediately like, what are you trying to sell? And I laughed. And I said, well, actually nothing. I truly was just wanting to have a conversation. People can be resistant to it. It's true. And I also know that when we build relationships, there is an exchange of energy. And this is a really great way to get to know people and share what you do, whether or not they purchase anything from you. So it's not about pitching people. It's not about, and I'm sure we all have had that where like someone friends you and then they DM you about their next best, greatest secret that they have to sell. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, how do you get to know people? What are you doing? What are you doing to build relationship with people? Right? What are you doing to build relationship with people? And when, I often share, one of the things that I've done over and over again is networked. I'll do master classes. I'll do virtual coffees. I'll do, challenges. I'll do, all of the things. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And in order for people to know about what I'm doing, it used to be like you called them, right? You called them, and now we don't necessarily have numbers, so you invite them, right? You invite them. And so what we don't see, so when we see someone advertising a sponsored post and we take action, right? Because of what they wrote, those words resonate with us because all of us are experiencing some sort of challenge in our life. And they have in their verbiage, they have the solution to the problem that we have. And so you'll sign up, whether it's paid or free. And then there's a process. There's an actual sales. You've just entered into their sales funnel. And there's a process that happens along the way with that. What people don't share with you is that 2% of your audience, so let's say if it's a sponsored post, 2%, up to 2% of the people will actually take action on that post. And of that 2%, 2% will actually show up. And of that, anywhere from 0.5 to 2% will purchase. No one's talking about that. And I'm not trying to like rain on anyone's parade, but I want you to not be so damn hard on yourself, right? Don't be so hard on yourself. If you're wanting to create a business and you want people to purchase, what you have, relationships need to be created. It's really and truly, it goes back to creating a relationship, being in a network, being involved, being part of a community, or creating a community. You don't have to create your own community. If that's not fun for you, then don't create it. Maybe collaborate on it, but being part of a community. And it, and there's this move right now, and it's called Web.3, Web.3.0, 3.0, which is this move away from Facebook, a move away from Facebook, creating your own community off of Facebook, right? And it's been going on for a while. It will continue to go because people are just really used to being on Facebook, right? They're just used to being on. So we're like cattle on Facebook, right? We know Facebook. So it's like the salt block is over there. So what's the path of the least resistance? So we can go back into, how do we tie marketing into the ego? If we're really attached to our results, right, that it has to be this way, and we're doing all this thing, and I've tried everything and it's not working, and we have that attachment to the ego, then we will feel bad about ourselves. If you approach it with this childlike delight, wouldn't it be cool if, what happens when, and we create this curiosity, number one. Number two, if we really are speaking, our truth, that doesn't mean that you have to like bare your soul. For some of us, that does. I'm a soul bearer on Facebook. And so it doesn't have to be that, but it needs to be your truth. And I want to caution all of you to be in awareness of when you see something that works for somebody else, and you go, oh, that's a really cool model, and it appears that they're creating traction, check in with your divine self. Is this something that you suggest? Is this something that will work for us? Is this something that will work for me? Whatever words feel good to you. And check in with divine. Because each one of us has a way of showing up. And the way that I show up may not work for you. And the way that you show up might not work for me. But we can take a model, a business model, that's why it's called a model, and tap into divine source, Christ consciousness energy, and ask, right? Is this one way for me? Is this what you would suggest for me? Because what happens is we'll take a business model and we'll use it, and it doesn't work for us. And who do we blame? Usually we blame ourselves. Sometimes we'll blame the person that taught us, right? But it's usually ourselves. And then we go into the spiral of we're not good enough. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not. You might be holding back. If you're doing anything wrong action, it could be that there's fear for you of being seen. Fear of whether it's fear of success, but I think it's more so a fear of being seen. right? What happens when you're seen? And I call those my irrational fears. Even if I have evidence, I call it an irrational fear. Excuse me. And so, what are you irrationally afraid of? Right? Just do it. And that sounds so simple. And so, but it can be. It can be. You know, I was speaking to a client the other day and she said, every time I post on Facebook, no one buys anything. I said, why are you posting on Facebook for people to buy something? And she's like, well, that's what people do. I'm like, I don't know if I've like it. I said, I like that's if that's why you're posting on Facebook to have people buy something from you. And I said, can you feel the energy of the desperate? And I said to them, you feel that feels desperate to me. And she said, well, why else would I post on Facebook? And I'm like, that's a great question. Why else would you post on Facebook? Right? And she's like, well, that would be the only reason to sell something. And I said, right? That if you're posting on Facebook to sell something, then get really good at Facebook ads. Because that would be your best bet. And it used to be that you could dabble and play for $25 or $50, and you may be able to do that to see what people like as far as like the verbiage that they like, the headlines that they like, the content that they like, the image that they like. And then you'll need to expand your spend for people to buy the thing. But there's other ways. There's other ways to sell something. You can get involved in a joint venture partnership, meaning you could say to somebody, hey, I have a product, right? And what if you could you email your list what I do? I'll email your list for your next launch and do that. Right? That's one way of doing that. You could create a community. There's like tons of ways that you could build a business stuff. And if you ever need assistance on that, just let me know, because that stuff just comes that process just comes naturally for me, and I'm happy to share anytime if you're struggling with that, right? Because I get ideas from God, right? So they're not mine. I will not claim that they're mine. They're right, divinely led. And so I'm never attached whether or not you do it, right? But Sherry, I saw your comment. Thank you. Yeah, why are you posting on Facebook? What is your intention? What is your purpose? Right? And it's okay. It's okay if you're posting on Facebook to sell something. Just, I guess, be clear with it, but also remember our energy affects everything. And so if you're building a marketing funnel and you're on Facebook to get something, that is not using the universal laws. Well, it is using the universal laws, but you won't like the outcome. It's about not approaching it from that, right? That's poor English. It's about approaching it differently, right? Approaching it from the place of what you desire. And this is where people are, right? And so there are steps you can take on and I'll use Facebook in particular, if you're wanting to sell something, like have a product launch, create a calendar event. You're launching your product, you're launching a service, right? Have a celebration, right? Have a virtual party, invite people to, Zoom, to celebrate your launch day, right? But I think the most important thing is to understand the psychology of the sales process. So understand the psychology of the sales process. So what do I mean is that there is, although we might be tired of seeing all the lead gen stuff that's out there, when we may be tired of like exchanging our name for an ebook or a course or a quiz, The reason why that's being done is that it works. It works. And so an entire system needs to be created if you're wanting to do that. And the resistance, right? There's resistance around that because then we go into, well, I don't know how to do that, right? And then we need to create a different skill set or hire it out. That's the challenge. And it can and it can be extremely frustrating. I get it. I get it. Right. All right. So think about today, contemplate today. Why are you posting? Why are you posting on whatever, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, right? What does that look like for you? And if you're looking to fill your services, like sell your services on Facebook, my question for you is that, or I guess maybe a statement in question, is that is your ideal client on Facebook, right? Is your ideal client on Facebook? And are they purchasing from Facebook? Your ideal client might be on LinkedIn or Pinterest or Instagram, right? It's just that our go-to place is Facebook because most of us are comfortable in Facebook, right? And we tend to put stuff out where we've purchased, but our ideal client might not purchase there. So think about that from a marketing perspective, right? No lack, just an awareness, right? Just an awareness. All right, hang on just for a second. Anything else to me? Don't be frustrated. Someone's frustrated. Don't be frustrated, right? You're not doing anything wrong. You're not. The business principles are simple. I mean, they are. It's not easy, but the principles behind business are simple. The difficult part is putting yourself out there and making the connection with people, right? Because we have this fear of rejection and abandonment, right? And so we take things personal. That's ego. And then that's why this I was actually asking, right, Divine, what's the connection between marketing and ego? It's like, give me a bone, man, give me a bone. And that's it, right? It's our ego that judges whether or not something worked or didn't. It's our ego that judges that. And it simply might be that you haven't found the words to use to it's like you're sending out a frequency, and the frequency that you're sending out doesn't match with the content that you're using. That's the words that are coming to me. You're sending out a frequency, the content doesn't match the frequency. And so for those of you who are feeling frustrated, I guess that's what you're supposed to do. Look at what frequency are you sending out? What's the content that you're sending out? Right? And know that, yeah, there just could be a discrepancy. That's what I'm being shown. And not for everybody, but whomever's feeling frustrated. Or who, let me actually retract that. That's for whoever needs to hear the message. All right, lovelies. Mwah. Oh, have a great day. Love you. Be awesome. Thanks. Bye.